moving into that, I want to move into expectations, Connor, for 2021. Because again, that's what fans want to talk about, right? How many games are we going to win this season? And, we're kind of in the honeymoon phase right now, right? You know what I mean? And I talk to fans about that in the sense of everything's going great. They're saying the right things. They're doing the right things. And again, with the coaching change, I think it was so important to change the overall attitude and the vibe and just how fans felt about the program. You see all these former players come back, but I like to tell people, and I'll tell you, Connor, my true measure of a team, what I like to see is once you hit adversity, how do you respond? Because South Carolina at some point this season is going to get punched in the mouth, right? The SEC, it's just going to happen. And it's how do they respond for me. But when you take a look at this 2021 season and first year expectations for Shane Beamer, I think going 6-6 and making a bowl game is realistic, especially when you talk about, we're going to have normal schedules this year. We're going to have the non-conference. So for South Carolina, you're going to face teams like Eastern Illinois, Troy, East Carolina. That's 3, I would say. You haven't lost to Vandy in 12 years, 11 or 12 years. I'd say that's 4 wins, dare I say. Then you start looking at teams like Mizzou, maybe Kentucky, maybe Tennessee. I think 6 is doable. What do you think are realistic expectations for Shane Beamer in his first year in Columbia?
I'd say if you hit 6, you got to feel great.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think when I put together my crystal ball that I do every single August before the SEC season starts, and I'm able to actually go through in all these games, because we can throw out a number total right now, but until you actually have gone through the entire schedule and broken down, well, you can't have every team winning 8 games. You just can't.
Right.
Then it's a little bit difficult to be able to assess that. But I would probably tend to, if I'm picking 6, if 6 is the over under, I'm probably taking the under at this point, just because I still think that there are programs like Kentucky returns a ton of talent on the defensive end. And I think, like I talked about, the adaptation of that offense is really going to help them. And they still have Chris Rodriguez back. Chris Rodriguez in the Kevin Harris camp of underappreciated running backs in college football. But I think that this is a team that should still feel decent about where it is. It's not like they're an Arkansas, where Arkansas was dealing with a turnover and not even a Tennessee, where if Tennessee doesn't get Henry To'oTo'o and Quavaris Crouch back, that is all of a sudden a very, very tough situation, especially from a defensive standpoint. South Carolina should be able to score points against a team like Tennessee. Yeah. Now, where it gets murky is, okay, how are you going to look against Clemson? How are you going to look against Georgia? How are you going to look against Florida? Because I'm not holding my breath on that changing anytime soon. Right. We would need to see those drastic turnarounds. And they look good against Florida last year. Let's not get twisted. If Mike Bobo decides to actually run a 2-minute offense, that's a one score game at the end. Right. But we don't have to get into that. Right. I think that South Carolina fans, if you get to a bowl game this year, you should be ecstatic. You should be feeling like those practices are really going to be beneficial. I always talk about that with the first-year coach, how important that is to be able to get that extra time and how valuable that can really be. So I think that if I'm setting the bar, 5 wins is probably the line that I would want to go at. And if I get anything over that, I'm feeling good. But set that bar low this year. Understand that it's year 1 with a new coach in this league. More times than not, man, that is a really, really uphill climb.
Yeah, I would say probably I'd expect the Vegas over-under to be probably 5. I think, like you said, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's about right.